Oh, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Final Word with MattyB here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, hosted by your boy MattyB. What's going on? Welcome to the day after Christmas spectacular, or as I like to call it, the day after Christmas hangover. I hope all is well. Everybody is now recovering or recovered from their Christmas festivities, and now they can drudge on to the next major milestone, which, of course, is now New Year's, as we're coming to the end of another year. And then this is what sucks about this time of the year for me, right? All the pageantry of Christmas, all the fun that's involved in Christmas, and all the the excitement ends in a big thud on New Year's Eve. I mean, when I was younger, of course, New Year's Eve was just another excuse to go out and party, right? It was fun. But now, as you're older, you got a little bit more perspective. New Year's Eve is just another year closer to death, man. I know it's a remorse way to look at it, but that's how I look at it, man. So we're trudging our way now, full speed into 2025. And yes, we are coming with you into that new year. And we couldn't be more happy about that. But yeah, welcome back to the show. Our Wednesday night edition on Christmas week. We have not stopped. We are not going to go away. We've not taken any vacation. And we're not going to do that because we're here for you. Slow night in Philadelphia sports. Excuse me, I have a cold. Slow night in sports in general. The only thing really going on is some college football and some NBA stuff. But there is some hockey news today. The WJC, the World Junior Championships U20 version, under 20, kicked off today up in Ottawa, Canada. A full slate of games. Team USA did play today, and we're going to get into what they did. And, of course, we are covering that event. We're not covering it today, as you can see, but we are making preparations to launch to Ottawa, and we will be there for intermediate times throughout the tournament to include on site for the final weekend, the championship weekend of the actual tournament next weekend, not this coming weekend, but next weekend. But we are on our way to Ottawa. I am at the base camp, which is going to be our headquarters as we operate from here. About 3 hours from Ottawa is where I am. And we're going to be here throughout the tournament. I'm going to Ottawa on Monday. I will actually go to Ottawa on Monday to check in and then do some coverage on Monday. And then we'll be back later. We'll be back a couple times during that week, and then full coverage on the final weekend of the finals, the medal games, and we'll go from there. Team USA, as I said, in action today to kick off the tournament. We're going to do some day in Philadelphia sports history. We're going to do a hot stove check-in maybe because I thought there was some news to report, but things are pretty quiet throughout this Christmas holiday. Yesterday we had fun. We did our what I wanted the Philadelphia sports teams to give me as a present, and that was a fun little segment that we did. We're also going to do our of the night segment and our card review segment as well. And for those of you at home keeping track, which I am, 49 days until pitchers and catchers report to spring training. And we kick this thing off in 2025, and hopefully the Phillies are not done. Hopefully we're going to still be making some moves over the next few days and get this thing better offensively. Specifically, we need some offensive help. So come along with the ride tonight as we're going to have some fun. This life is too short. We got to have fun. Eagles back in action today. Practice. Nick Sirianni spoke to the assembled masses, and you know what? Here's the thing. And before we get into your day in Philadelphia sports history, I have a general question. And this is just an FYI type question. It's an honest question. When in the past have the Eagles or any other NFL team incorporated the head of team security to accompany their coach to the post or after game handshake? When have you ever seen that before this situation with Nick Sirianni and Fat Dom? Does anybody can give me an answer on that? Has anybody ever known of that happening before, where the head of team security has to go out to the middle of the field with their head coach and participate in the post-game handshakes? Why do the Eagles incorporate that? Does Nick Sirianni, is he that? Can they not trust him enough where he needs a security guy with him at all times? The Zach Ertz thing today I've been hearing about. I didn't hear that coming out of the game, but apparently there was an altercation between Nick Sirianni and Zach Ertz. Listen, say what you want about Zach Ertz and his tenure with the Eagles. I mean, as far as my dollar is concerned, Zach Ertz is the best tight end who's ever played for the Eagles. I mean, he's a Super Bowl champion, and he's actually one of the catches that secured the Super Bowl came from Zach Ertz. And Nick Sirianni's having a beef with him? I mean, what? I get criticized for calling Nick Sirianni a clown, and I get criticized for calling Nick Sirianni a buffoon, but yet he continues to do buffoonery and clownish things on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis. Also, another thing that I noticed about this football team under the tutelage of Nick Sirianni is the undisciplined play of certain members of the team. Jalen Carter, CJ, GJ, DJ, BJ, whatever his name is, those are the two main people I'm talking about. You know, a lot of ire has gone towards the officials about what happened on Sunday with CJ, GJ specifically, and then Jalen Carter, who seems to be good for at least one 15-yard personal foul penalty a game. When is that behavior going to get cleaned up? We're very quick to blame the officials, but when do we place some blame on the coaches? Jalen Carter is a loose cannon out there. When's he going to do something? If it's not being taken care of now, when is it going to be taken care of before it really hurts this team, say in the playoffs or in the championship game or, God forbid, in the Super Bowl? You know, CJ, GJ, when he left town last year, bad-mouthed the hell out of Philadelphia Eagle fans. Bad-mouthed the hell out of the city of Philadelphia. But then you welcomed him with open arms this year when he came back. And then he gets ejected from the game on Sunday. You blame the referees for that. What blame do you place on the player? And what blame do you place, and how much more damage can that be done, obviously, as we move into the playoffs, if he's not mature enough to handle himself, to keep himself into a football game? That's going to hurt this team down the stretch. So at what point do you blame the coaches and the coaching and the philosophy on this football team for the behavior of the players? And that's what I mean by the culture on this team is bad because of the clown they have as a head coach. And you don't got to take my word for it either. You just watch this team play every week, and you'll see boorish, clownish behavior happening on a week-to-week basis. All right, so just a point to be looked at. When, before, or since, or now, or ever have you ever known a head coach to have the team's head of security walk out to the field with them on the post-game handshake? Ever before? I've never seen that before. I've never known that to be an issue. I never knew that as a thing. And we're going to talk more about the Eagles tomorrow. That's right, because tomorrow at 9:30 a.m., the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn. Look at that new graphic that we made. Look at that. Isn't that nice? The Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn will return to the program tomorrow, or to the network tomorrow morning at 9:30. Without Kyle Quinn, it is going to be a special guest host. I'm not going to reveal who that is. You got to come and see. But you won't be surprised, or you will be surprised. You won't be. It won't not be disappointing. He's a friend of the network, a friend of the program, and he's going to come on here and he's going to cut it up with me for a little bit. So tomorrow at 9:30, the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn will be seen. We're all over the place with this show. We're coming on at 4:00 in the afternoon. We come on at 7, 8 o'clock at night. We come on at 6:30 at night. Now we're dwelling into the AM, as we'll be on at 9:30 tomorrow for the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn, without Kyle, but with a special guest host who you have to see it to believe it. So make sure you're here tomorrow morning at 9:30, checking out the program. And then don't forget, on Sunday, we got you covered post-game, Eagles-Cowboys, with the Birds Flyby, hosted by our boy Sal G, as we will break down the Week 17 matchup between the Eagles and Cowboys. Week 17. Holy crap, man. I remember doing the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn prior to Week 1. God damn, I remember doing that. But we'll be here on post-game Eagles Cowboys breaking that down. And then Saturday night or afternoon, thankfully, we're back with hockey. Golly. Flyers had a 5-day break last week, and now they had the holiday break, but they're going to get back at this thing on Saturday against the Anaheim Ducks from California as they start their New Year's post-holiday break road trip. And I'll be here with you on Saturday and Sunday as I will be doing back-to-back Ducks Kings action for you over the weekend on the Clear the Ice program. So a lot in store for the It's a Wrap Sports Network over the weekend. And let's get it going with your day in Philadelphia sports. On this day, and I've had the distinct pleasure of now introducing these three. This is the trifecta. This is the last one. We talked a couple weeks ago about them winning the 48 NFL championship. We talked a couple days after that. They won the 49 NFL championship. Well, on this day back in 1960, folks, you guessed it, the Sixers, the Eagles, defeated the Green Bay Packers 17-13 to capture their third NFL championship of the franchise's history. And then, of course, with the Super Bowl 57 victory or 52 victory, they now have four championships to their credit since 1933. And I'm the bad guy. And it's my fault. Yeah, I'm the Negadelphian, and they've won 4 championships since 1933. But on this day in 1960, the Eagles beat the hated Green Bay Packers 17-13 and capturing their third NFL championship. And then that was it, man. No more NFL championship appearances until the 1981 Super Bowl 15. So they went from 1960 to 81 without even being in a championship game. Can you or a NFL title game, I should say, not championship game, NFL title game. So from 60 to 81 before appearing in Super Bowl 15 and losing to the Raiders, which I remember very, very distinctly. And then Super Bowl 39 against Jacksonville, Super Bowl 52 against Kansas City, and Super Bowl 57 also against Kansas City. So there's your Eagles championship, NFL championship game history provided here tonight on the It's a Wrap Sports Network on The Final Word with your boy, MattyB. Gotta love it, man. But as we are gearing down for the 2024 playoffs, because every season renews itself, and every season you strap it on and you start it again, and you throw all your heart and your emotions into every single season. We all do, except for me, of course, and I've very cited on multiple times why I am not doing that anymore, why I am completely uninvested in what was happening with this football team. To a fault. I mean, I can never just unplug completely. That's just not going to happen for me. But as we get ready now, heading into the stretch run of 2024, the stretch season runs week 17, Dallas week. Nobody cares. I can understand. I get why nobody cares. Dallas sucks. And for Dallas week to work, Dallas has to be good. And that's just the bottom line. And Dallas week, let's face it, is just not like it was when I was a kid. It's just not like it was back in the 90s. This generation, this society that we live in is soft. And, the good old natured ribbing of sports rivalry is just not the way it used to be. And, but again, a key component to all this is the fact that the Cowboys suck. And so Dallas week is an afterthought this week. And now tomorrow on the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn, and of course, Kyle won't be here. We'll discuss a little bit about the lineage of the Dallas week phenomenon and why. And every year when it comes around, I throw my 2 cents into the whole Dallas week thing. Without any real luck, because I don't think it'll ever get back to the way it was when I was growing up. And that's a shame, man, because there was nothing like Dallas week, and especially if something was on the line. 2008 was probably the last time something was really on the line for Dallas week. I know in 2013, they went into Dallas on the final Sunday of the season with an opportunity to win the division. But that 2008 game in Philly, and maybe it has to be in Philly too, but that 2008 game in Philly where win and get in, lose and go home. They had to get some help from the Texans earlier in the day that beat the Bears, beat the Raiders or something like that. So it opened up, or they beat the Bears, right? And then it opened up an avenue for the Eagles to get into the playoffs. And of course, some people actually think that's the all-time best Philadelphia Eagle game they ever. And I agree. I was actually I was coming. Where was I? Was I in Iraq? No, I was home. I was home on leave. I do remember that game. I watched that game at home. I was on R&R from Iraq. I was home for Christmas leave. Yeah, took my little R&R mid-tour leave there. I came home for it. So Dallas week just isn't the way it is anymore. And with the drama now surrounding the Philadelphia Eagles and all the things that, well, not so much drama this week. There's no rule. Is there drama surrounding the Eagles this week? Are we drama free heading into the Cowboy game? Is it now about football? Obviously, the Jalen Hurts, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? Should he play? Shouldn't he play? That's, I guess, the drama that we're talking about right now. Kenny Pickett, everyone's saying, oh, let's put him in. Don't forget, he's dinged up too. He's got some rib issues. Tanner McKee, Ian Book back in the fold as he was resigned to the practice squad today. So, or yesterday, whatever it was. He was in town yesterday on Christmas, doing what he's got to do. So, you know, is there drama surrounding this football team? I don't know. Off the loss, the 10-game losing streak now in the past. Is it time to start a new winning streak, or does it really not matter anymore? The number 2 seed, and we're going to go over the NFL playoff picture here in a second, but the number 2 seed seems an inevitability. Seems like that's what it's going to be. Seems like they will have home field advantage unless they have to play the Lions. And but the Vikings are still battling their way through it too. So, I mean, there's still a lot to be kind of worked out. But what is the temperature of the room when it comes to the rest of the season? The Eagles have not clinched anything. They've clinched a playoff spot. They haven't clinched positioning. They haven't clinched the division. Is Sunday the game? Is this the game that they put all the eggs in their basket and then say feet up for the Giants and then wait for the playoffs to be what they are? I mean, is that what everybody seems to think? Do you throw caution in the wind, and if Jalen Hurts clears protocol, do you play him? Even though you probably shouldn't, because the bigger picture, the bigger prize is down the road. I mean, again, the Eagles haven't clinched anything. And God forbid if they don't win Sunday and you have to go into a situation on, next weekend against the Giants and you have to play your starters, or do you not play your starters? Is this it? Is this the final game for the starters, regardless if they win or lose? So I guess there is some drama involved in this game. I guess there is some questions surrounding this team. Now, the afterthought of the Eagles winning this game seems to be the flavor in town, that there's not even a chance the Dallas Cowboys are going to even show up again against the Eagles. Cooper Rush was completely useless against the Eagles the last time they played each other. Dallas Cowboy defense could not find an answer for Saquon, so on and so forth. Eagles rolled to victory for the first time in Big D since 2017, and now they have an opportunity to sweep the Cowboys and the division and put things to bed. But are they taking that too lightly? Are the Eagles going to come into Sunday after getting smacked in the face by the Commanders? And yes, they were smacked in the face. You force 5 turnovers and you lose a football game. You get players ejected and all that. You can blame the refs all you want, but the players were still ejected. Jalen Carter had his typical 15-yard personal foul penalty that he's starting to get every week apparently now. But getting smacked in the face against the Commanders, with a potential rematch with the Commanders looming in a few weeks, do you go and take this game lightly? Do you smell yourself heading into – do the Eagles smell themselves coming off of a loss and take the Cowboys lightly, regardless of who the quarterback will be? Do they take them lightly and they come out and lay an egg? I don't think they will. I think the Eagles could play the worst game of their lives and still win this game. Because, one, I would never pick the Dallas Cowboys to win anything, and number 2, the Eagles are a better team. Let's just face it. They could probably mail it in and win. So. So there is a storyline to be told about this game. Is that story about Saquon Barkley getting the rushing record? Is it handoff, 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 handoff? Is that what the Eagles' offensive game plan against the Cowboys is? If it's working, why not? Does Saquon get the record and they pull him off the field and he doesn't see another game until the first round of the playoffs? Is that what the game plan is for Saquon Barkley? And God forbid if that's what the game plan is, and on the third handoff from scrimmage, he blows out his ACL. I mean, there's always that. I gotta throw it in there, man. I'm sorry. Me not talking about it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So what's the game plan? And who's the quarterback? Is Ian Book going to start? Is Tanner McKee going to start? Kenny Pickett's dealing with bruised ribs. And if anyone's ever had bruised ribs, man, that sucks, that injury. That injury is terrible. You just can't do nothing about it. You can protect them. You can get painkillers, but there's nothing you can do about bruised ribs except for time. And does that mean he's going to be down and they'll elevate Ian Book as the backup to Tanner McKee and put Pickett as the emergency third string quarterback. A lot of stuff, I guess, for this game, there is, I guess, a drama and a storyline. And we'll wait and see over the next couple of days how it works out. Steve checked in and says he remembers the 08 World Series. I was in school when that happened. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I was in Iraq, actually, for the World Series, too, that year. So there is a storyline. And the bottom line is the Eagles fighting for what? The division, fighting for the number 2 overall seed in the conference. What is the expectation of Sunday? Game was flexed from 4:30 to 1. Does that bother anybody? I hate that. I am a huge fan of the 4 o'clock start time. I would love to have every Eagle game 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. Every game. Especially every game after Halloween. Just something so seasonal about the Eagles playing at that 4 o'clock time slot later on in the season. And the early on games, the ones, early September to Halloween, yeah, I can deal with 1 o'clock. But after Halloween, I want them all at 4. Yep. Especially the playoff games. They're fun. What is the storyline? What does everybody want to see? Do you want to see a response from the team that, it was a blip in the radar and we went out and we're going to punch the Cowboys in the mouth? The Commanders had no business beating us. We forced 5 turnovers, but yet gave up 36 points. I mean, there's not enough being talked about that, if you ask me. What happened? There's not enough being talked about why they gave up 36 points. We seem to be wrapped around the Jalen Hurts axle about how the game changed completely after he got hurt. I've heard ridiculous lunatickery about the Jalen Hurts ripple effect in this football game. Jalen Hurts being hurt had absolute no effect mentally or emotionally on the defense. Absolutely none. And it shouldn't have any effect on the defense's play. CJ, GJ, BJ getting tossed out of the game, maybe that had an effect. Jalen Carter getting a personal foul and potentially playing a little timid for the rest of the game might have had an effect. And that's not on Jalen Hurts. That's on the individual player. And it goes back to my top of my hour rant about what the hell kind of head coach is Nick Sirianni. It's all, everybody wants to sit up here and, pat him on the back. He turned it around. He's no longer the impatient fool that he was earlier in the season. Yeah, well, he's a clown, all right? He's a buffoon. Every time he speaks, it's stupid. You don't know what to believe. Does he even talk the truth? He needs the personal head of security of the football team to walk out with him at center ice at the 50-yard line to shake hands with the opposing coach. He's getting into a fight with Zach Ertz. What in the hell are you arguing with Zach Ertz about? Zach Ertz has got more Eagle credibility than Nick Sirianni will ever have. Best tight end in franchise history. Oh, and by the way, a Super Bowl champion. All right. Neither one that Nick Sirianni will never be a Super Bowl champion here. And he sure as hell wasn't the best tight end in Eagles history. And you're getting into a fight with Zach Ertz. I mean, what are we doing? What is this? Then there was the blow up with Jalen Carter and Cliff Hurt on the sidelines 2 weeks ago, where apparently the defensive line coach felt it wasn't a good idea that the head coach addressed Jalen Carter, even though they were both emotional and both kind of hot-headed. First of all, the fact that you as a position coach feel like you have the audacity and the stones and the balls to tell the head coach anything about what he can do tells me everything I need to know about the Philadelphia Eagles and the way they run their coaching staff. It tells me everything I need to know about Nick Sirianni and the way he runs his staff. They don't respect him. That's the bottom line. The coaches don't respect him. And that was the number one proof for me, was that the defensive line coach felt ballsy enough to step in the way of the head coach yelling at a defensive player, regardless of whether or not it was right or wrong. The fact that he had the balls to step in front of the head coach and stop him tells me everything I need to know about how Nick Sirianni runs his coaching staff. They don't respect him. Do you think they would do that to Andy Reid? No. Bill Belichick? Jimmy Johnson? Christ. Any coach? No. Nick Sirianni is never going to win a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. And that's just the bottom line. And I'm sorry to have to be the bearer of bad news. And it's funny because you all know it, and you're just afraid to say it. You all feel the same way I do, but what the difference is, I'm okay to say it. You're afraid to say it, which is okay. I get that. That's why I'm here. I'm here to provide the yin to the yang, and that's my cross I carry in life, and I understand that. So I guess there is some drama on Sunday. How do they react? And if they lose, what is the flavor of that loss? How does the city react to that? Interesting. That's why we play the game. But don't forget, tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. That's right. Tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn will return without Kyle. Kyle's not going to be on the show this week. He's got a personal matter. He's out of town. But I will have a special mystery co-host. You have to come back and see who it is. As we will break down, one last time, we'll break down we'll look at the Commanders game, and we'll break down we shall break down the who are they playing? The Cowboys. Good God. As we get things rolling here, I guess. We get things rolling for the Week 17 matchup, man. Week 17. Holy crap. What has happened, folks? What has happened to the season? All right, well, I guess it's time. And, you know me. I don't like looking at playoffs until it's damn ready to look at them. And I think at Week 17, it's damn ready to look at them. And I want to take a look at some of the seeds here. So currently, this is the current picture in the NFL, playoff-wise. We'll start in the AFC. The Chiefs locked down the 1 seed with their win yesterday against the who the hell they play? The Steelers, who are a sham, by the way. A sham. They locked down the 1 seed. Buffalo's fighting now for, I guess, really, it's Buffalo's seed to lose the 2 seed to Baltimore, and then Houston at the 4 and Pittsburgh at the 5. 2 teams that are still currently in the hunt. San Diego. I didn't almost say it. I said it. Los Angeles. I don't think I'll ever get used to saying the Los Angeles Chargers. No, they should go back to those old unis. The dark navy blue pants and the it was the yellow pants and the dark navy blue tops, or the white tops with the yellow pants and the dark navy blue helmets. I don't know why they got away from that. That was the hottest, sexiest uniform combination and helmet. It was them and the Bengals had the 2 best helmets back in the day, in my opinion. Back in the 80s, late 80s, 90s NFL. It was the Chargers and the Bengals who had the best helmets and uniforms. And for some odd reason, the Chargers decided to go to white helmets. I think it's stupid. But anyway, they're in a hunt along with the Denver Broncos, who Sean Payton, you say what you want about him, is quietly going about his business. And I think now, do I think they're going to come out of the AFC? I do not. But I think they're going to make waves, and they're going to piss in somebody's Fruit Loops in the playoffs. Bo Nix is a real deal. No one's talking about Bo Nix. He plays in Denver, obviously, but he's the real deal. Rookie of the Year candidate, definitely in the AFC. So they're fighting for a playoff spot on the bubble. The Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals. Dolphins and Bengals, man. I don't know. I mean, you guess the Tua injury was too much for them to overcome this year. But what's going on in Cincinnati? I remember in the beginning of the season, me and Kyle talked, a lot about the Bengals and about last season. We gave them a pass because of the injuries, right? This year they were relatively healthy. They're just bad. They're just not a good football team. And I know Kyle had them winning the North. I had them winning the North, and now they're going to probably end up not even making the playoffs. So, but they're fighting for a potential spot here. But we're getting late in the day. For the Colts, Dolphins, and the Bengals to make a playoff push. Teams that are already on the clock, so to speak: the Jets, Browns, Jags, Titans, Raiders, and the Patriots. Out of those teams, who's looking at a new head coach? Dougie P, are you on your way out? Everyone else is pretty much already changed coaches. The Jets fired their coach in the season, so I guess you're looking at maybe one new head coach out of that group, potentially. Over in the NFC, of course, it's the Lions and Eagles. Lions at number 1, Eagles at number 2. Then it's a kind of a funky thing down there. The Rams at 3, the Falcons at 4, and the Vikings at 5. Now, so here's the messed up thing about the system. And so with the Packers at 6. So the NFC North has got 3 powerhouse teams. Right now, I believe it's, the NFC East can only send, it's right now the Commanders, who are in the playoffs with the win. Did they clinch with the win? Didn't they clinch? Or no, they'll clinch, I think, a spot this weekend. But anyway, it's going to be the Eagles and Commanders from the NFC. If they're the only two Eastern teams going to make it. Then you're looking at the NFC North. You got 3 teams that are going to make the playoffs. And the Minnesota Vikings, if they literally have one thing to do here, they got to push for the number 1 seed, because they're going to go from 1 to 5, even though they may have 14 or 15 wins. Because if Detroit wins their division, Minnesota can't get any higher than a 5. They can't be any higher than a 5. So they're going to be a 5 seed potentially at like a 15-2 record or a 15-3 record. That's amazing. And it tells you about the strength of the NFC North. And obviously that's going to be a division to look out for. Now, if you're looking at back in the day, NFC North, this would have been the bomb. You had to go to outdoor stadiums in Minnesota. You had to go to an outdoor stadium in Green Bay. You had to go to an outdoor stadium in Detroit. Of course, that's no longer the case. The only team that plays outdoors in the NFC North anymore is the Packers. But going to Lambeau in January is a tough feat to do for anybody. So right now, I don't think the Packers would have a home game. Yeah, they would. No, they wouldn't. They actually would play. Wouldn't 5 and 6 play each other? I think so. So right now, there's your seeds. There's your top 6. And then the Commanders are at 7 right now. The Rams are 3 and the Falcons are 4. So you're looking at the Rams at 9 and 6, and the Falcons 1 game over 500 in that pitiful NFC South could potentially have the 4th seed and be the higher seed over the Minnesota Vikings, which would then, I guess, get them a wild card matchup with Minnesota in Atlanta, which Minnesota should win. Teams on the bubble, Tampa and Seattle, and then teams that are history this year. And then again, there's the Cowboys highlighting that run. The Cardinals, which was funny because weren't they in first place like 2 weeks ago? The Cardinals were in first place like 2 weeks ago. The 49ers is another one. Very interesting. They've been eliminated. The Saints are out. Bears are out. Panthers and the New York Giants, who are battling for that number 1 overall pick in the draft this spring. So there you have it. Your most up-to-date NFL playoff picture heading into Week 17. Of course, there were some games that happened that have happened already, but for the most part, there you go. There you go. There's your most up-to-date NFL playoff picture heading into the season. So what are we looking at? Eagles Commanders, right? Round 1 in Philly. Good game. Really good game. Is it a passing of the baton game? Does Jalen Daniels, does he come and, show the Philly faithful that he's the new quarterback in town? It's going to be fun to see. All right. So there you have our little NFL spiel. Let's transition a little bit. But before I do want to send a personal word of condolence. Bill Bergey, the great Eagle linebacker of the 70s and 80s, passed away the other day or yesterday. The one thing about life that sucks is that people leave and there's nothing you can do about it. And we're all eventually going to end up in the same spot. And Bill Bergey, who is part of that, if you think back of the day, and this is from my generation, the younger kids who grew up in the 80s, who grew up in the shadow of the return of Eagles football, to Philadelphia, who grew up in the shadow of the 80 NFC Championship game against the Cowboys, who grew up in that shadow. Players like Bill Bergey, players like Ron Jaworski, Wilbert Montgomery, those were the players that we first became fans of. We were young, but they were still larger than life to us because of what they did. And Bill Bergey was that. And I remember Bill Bergey playing for for the end of his career. Of course, he started his career in Cincinnati and then came to Philadelphia. He was definitely part of the renaissance of the Eagles in the late 70s and early 80s. He was part of that Super Bowl team, that Super Bowl 15 contending team. And to lose him after, I believe it was a 3-year battle with cancer, it's just tough and it's hard. And I obviously, all my thoughts and prayers are to him, his family, and his fans throughout the world. As again, it's inevitability that we're all going to die, but it sucks, man. It really does. So Bill Bergey passed away, and again, I want to send my condolences to his family. So yeah, it's tough. It's very tough. But all right, let's move on to hockey. Hockey, that's right. Because we got the World Juniors Championships, the U20s up there in Ottawa today. The tournament kicked off where the NHL stars of tomorrow are on display. And Team USA came out gangbusters today. 10-4 winners over the powerhouse Germans in a game that really, if you watch it, by the way, you can catch this action on the NHL Network or in the deep dark web if you have access to that, which that's what I do. I watch games from all over the world on the deep dark web. Other people are on the deep dark web to try to take the world over. I'm there watching hockey games, but that tells you where my world priorities are. But Team USA, with James Hagens leading the way, James, of course, is one of the potential. He's not a consensus number one overall pick this summer, but he's one of the names that are mentioned when you talk about the number one overall pick. James Hagens led the way today with 4 points, 2 goals, and 2 assists as Team USA completely blitzkrieged the Germans. Is that too soon? Can I say that? Is that too soon to say that? As that both USA is now 1-0 in the tournament, and Germany falls to 0-1. The Americans will play tomorrow, and so the Germans as well. So it was just a complete domination. The game, I think, heading into the third period was 8-1. And so, when you're in a game like that, it is what it is. The Americans, of course, are the defending champions. They won the tournament last year. Cutter Gauthier led the way for Team USA last year. This year, it's not necessarily the Americans are not the favorites. It's the Canadians who are playing right now, I guess, against Finland. That's the team that you want to watch if you're looking for Flyers prospects, because the majority of them are playing for Team Canada, as the Flyers sent 4 prospects to this tournament. 3 of them are playing for Team Canada. So be tuned in for Team Canada's games. The U.S. has no Flyer prospects playing on it right now, but Team USA with the 10-4 win, that's shellacking over the Germans in their first game up there in Ottawa. And of course, again, we will be there to cover this event. I was not there today, but I will be there back end of the weekend, early into next week. And we will cover you through the end of the preliminary rounds into the medal qualifying rounds, and definitely the medal round is when we will be there in force here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. So there you have today's action up in Ottawa for the 2025 IIHF 20 World Juniors. Good God. U20. All right. So we don't really, I was going to go into the hot stove tonight, but there's nothing really much to talk about, man. There's some moves that are pending, but nothing that's been kind of legitimized. And, so we're going to glance over that. And, I guess we'll head into the of the night segment, I guess. I mean, it's a freaking quiet night, man. Ready for this stuff to start turning back on, man. Let's get some sports going. I hate the holidays, man, because you don't have no sports, everything's quiet. It's all blah, blah, blah. So let's get into our of the night segment here on the show. All right, yeah, this is the of the night segment. This is the part of the show where we highlight a Flyer prospect, a Phillies prospect, an NHL draft target, an MLB draft target. We'll spotlight a Phillies player if it's applicable, which it will be starting next month, or we'll spotlight a Flyers player, which is when it's applicable, which it was late in the summer into the season. And we just introduce you to them. There's a lot of players floating around in the Phillies and Flyers systems. There's a lot of names that you may not be familiar with, and we're here to kind of be that bridge, and maybe it'll start you to start checking this guy out or checking out what they do. So this is a fun segment. It's a kind of a meet and greet. It's an icebreaker segment, if you will, for our young, talented players here in the city. I think we as Philadelphia sports fans, and I am not here to, I'm not here to insult anybody, and I'm not here to question anybody's intelligence, but I just feel at times we're a little bit tunnel visioned when it comes to our athletes. We see who's in front of us today. We see who's making an impact for us today. But I think we need to broaden that up a little bit. And I'm here to provide that broaden it for you. I'm here to force feed these guys to you so that you see where the pipeline is and you see that these players are in the pipeline. And I'm just here to help you. I'm a PSA kind of guy, man. That's what I am. I'm a people person and I help you. So please take that for what it is. So tonight's of the night segment is a Flyer prospect. And again, starting on probably January 5th, we're going to broaden it out a little bit. We're going to start talking NHL draft. We're going to start breaking down the NHL draft for you. We're going to highlight a player or two a week, draft target the Flyers and everybody else is going to be looking at based on what happened in this tournament and other stuff that they've done throughout the year up to this point. A little bit later on in January, maybe a week later, it's starting to break the Phillies down. We're going to start doing Philly spotlight players. We're getting you ready for the 2025 season. And then a little bit later after that, maybe in February, we'll start breaking the MLB draft down for you. And then a little bit later after that, maybe April, we'll start looking at Phillies prospects. So that's how the It's a Night thing works. It's seasonal and it's seasonal by sport, but we're still kind of locked in on hockey for at least the next month or so. But here we go. Your Flyer prospect of the night is Elliot Desnoyers. That's right. This is a kid who was, I remember drafting, or I drafted him. He was drafted in 2020 in the 5th round. Currently a left wing with the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. Let's read his little bio. He's 5'11" and 183. He's so much better off the puck than he is on it, which take that for what it is. If you want a player who will selfishly run headfirst through a brick wall, if that's what's necessary for his line mates to succeed, then look no further than Desnoyers. He plays an honest brand of hockey in the defensive zone and never flees a moment sooner than his team has secured the puck. Listen, this has been an anomaly. I've liked this kid since juniors. I've liked this kid for a very long time. It just seems that he's never able to get his footing into professional hockey. We're running out of time with him. I believe this will be his final. I think he's an RFA at the end of the season. And I don't know if the Flyers, I don't know where he stands with the Flyers right now. He hasn't sniffed the Flyers at all. He's a fixture down in Lehigh. His brother, Caleb, is actually a very highly touted player in this year's NHL draft. He's going to be one of the players that we're going to break down, getting you ready for the NHL draft. Caleb Desnoyers is one of the more, a little bit more offensively skilled than Elliot is. But listen, Elliot's an enforcer. Elliot's a guy that will play with his hair on fire. The problem is that's all he provides right now. He doesn't provide anything offensively. His offensive game has kind of stuck. It hasn't really progressed. I like him. I like the motor. I like the hockey IQ. I like the way he plays. But he's a fourth liner all the way in the NHL. But he's got to give a little bit more. And I think the Phantoms and I think the organization of the Flyers in general really want him to succeed. They really like what he provides. But it's going to be hard to keep him around if he can't find another gear offensively. And so far this season with the Phantoms, Desnoyers has where's his numbers at right here? I hate computers. So far this season, it was 23 games, 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points, and a putrid -6. So again, he's just got to find he's got to find his offense. And the Flyers have been trying to get him to find it for years. Running out of time, Zade Wisdom is another player that was taken in 2020. That's kind of in the same boat as Desnoyers is. And, it's we're running out of time. And the Flyers are running out of time. And Desnoyers is running out of time. So I want to see him succeed. I think there's a place for him. But whether or not he thinks if he can, he's got to find an offensive gear. He's got to find something. But there you have it. Here's your Flyer prospect of a night, a fan favorite down in Lehigh, in Allentown. If you ever get down there, he's a fan favorite, and everybody wants to see him succeed. I want to see him succeed. I want to see him a Flyer, but I think we're running out of time with him. He provides one layer, which is fearless hockey play, which you love, but he needs something else. Add something else, assists, goals, something. But there you have Elliot doing AA. And look at after his brother Caleb, as I mentioned, his brother is going to be NHL draft eligible this summer. He is looked at as a top 10 prospect in this year's draft. So is it possible that the Flyers have the Desnoyers brothers with them this year? Who knows? But there you are, your Flyer prospect of the night on the It's a Wrap Sports Final Word with MattyB program. Al saying, MattyB, what's going on, Al? How are you on this post-Christmas Eve? Or not post-Christmas Eve, but post-Christmas. I know, Al, you don't celebrate Christmas. You guys are pagans, right? You guys celebrate worship the sun, the Ra festival. So I know you spend the Christmas holidays with the lights off. You barricade the doors. You don't want any of that stuff entering into the home. But I hope you have a great sun festival that's about to come up. So Al's checking in. I'm kidding. Of course, Al celebrates. Al is Mr. Christmas. You know, Al, back in the day, I remember a couple years ago, it's like 3 years ago, Big Al came on the air dressed up as Santa Claus. Did you know that? Not many people have the balls to do that. I don't have the balls to do that. But Big Al did that. And I'll never forget that, Al. I don't think you knew I knew. I don't think you knew I knew that, Al. But I watch everything. I'm a sponge. And I remember seeing that. And I thought, I was when I first joined the EOP, it was that first year. And I was still trying to figure out what I'd gotten myself into. And when I saw that, and I was like, you know what? That tells me a lot about this guy. It tells me a lot about his character. It tells me a lot about his desire to do what has to be done for the people. So, and I mean that sincerely. I'm not being a D-bag here. I mean that sincerely. So yeah. That was pretty cool, and I'll never ever forget that. Oh yeah. But okay, so there you go. So we did our of the night segment. We did our we talked about the NFL playoffs a little bit, about how it's kind of wonky. The Minnesota Vikings are literally boom or bust, 1 seed or 5th. And we talked about of the night segment. So that leads us to my final segment of the night. That's right. It's going to be it's a quick show tonight, folks. Again, it's hard for me to talk about something when not. Listen, getting on here night after night, bitching and moaning about I hate this, I hate that. Yeah, it's cool, man, but it gets old. Even I got to mix it up every now and again, and we got to talk about something new. I'm about ready to start watching football, like college football, like the Aloha Bowl and the Pac Sun Bowl and all that nonsense. Man, the Flyers don't get back at it until Saturday. The Eagles are back at it on Sunday. Things are going to hopefully get going here soon. But boy, I hate holidays, man, when they suck sports right out. I can't say. And you're forcing me to spend time with my wife. Come on, you guys have no idea what that's like. Man, MattyB is the kind of guy that can't be tied down. MattyB is a wild stallion. He must run free. He must explore the world on his own. When God begot me, when he lent me to his people, when he sent me down in 1973, and he began my reign, so to speak. Let's call it a reign. I guess we can call it that. There was certain things that I knew I would have to do. There's certain sacrifices I knew I would have to make, and one of those was my body. I knew I'd have to sacrifice my body for the good of mankind in ways that I don't want to necessarily get into. But it's been a cross that I've carried all my life, but I've done it freely. And I realize that. But I'm just asking for some fresh sports. That's all. And with my she's gonna kill me. I hope she's not watching this. Hopefully we can get this thing rolling again here soon. But I hate the holidays because it's just a shutdown in sports. That's the only reason why I hate the holidays. I love the holidays, of course, but I don't like the shutdown. COVID was terrible, absolutely terrible. When there was no sports for 4 months. Good God, imagine me for 4 months talking about absolutely nothing. I did not refer to myself as Jesus. No, I did not. I referred to myself as part of the family. Jesus is Jesus. I am MattyB. But two of us couldn't. I mean, there's nothing that says another person could not have come down and lived a parallel situation in the late 20th century versus the dawn of time. I mean, you don't know, but I know what I know. I know what I was programmed to do, to serve mankind and how to serve them. And I am living the prophecy. So I'm not calling myself Jesus. That's Jesus. I'm MattyB. I operate on my own level. But anyway, let's get into our final segment of the night. And it's my favorite, absolute favorite segment of the night. Here you go. You ready? Let's roll it.
Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. What? Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad.
All right, yeah, this is our card review segment. This is the segment or part of the show where we take a sports card from my very vast sports card collection, and we talk a little bit about it. We discuss value financially, yes. We discuss intrinsic value, emotional value, where I might have found this card, how I might have acquired this card, the types of memories this card elicits from my childhood or my adulthood. I've been collecting sports cards all my life, and we just kind of have some fun with it. I've been doing this segment for, I guess, now a few months. And it's fun. I do operate on some sort of level, a level that no other man can operate, man. That's right. MattyB level. It's the fifth level. But anyway, this is a fun part of the show. Just recently, over the summer, I was able to combine our forces. And when I say our forces, I mean me and my stepson's sports card collection to one big, massive collection. And it took me 3 months to go from literally card after card. I went through, in my meticulous nature, which I am meticulous, I ain't gonna lie. I do keep track of things, but for some odd reason, I did not keep track of individual cards. Like I didn't go 1, 2, 3. So I don't know the amount of cards I went through. I know it's a lot. And what I did was I separated them in 2 different ways. I put the non-valuable cards financially, the ones that don't really scream financial value, I put them in a separate spot, and I put the cards that have some financial value in a separate spot. And since I've done that, just to put it some perspective, I got 7 binders full of cards that are in the financial, worth something area. And each one of those binders holds 209 pocket card protector pages, and they're all filled up. So, and then there's team boxes. It's a lot of cards. So I figured, what a great way to database them all. And of course, that's what I'm doing. I'm databasing as I do this, as I go card by card, I'm throwing them into a database. So it's a good way for me to do that. Make sure that I cover them all. So I'm going card by card through the binders to start. And then if I'm alive, when we're done the binders, I'll head into the team cards. I don't think I have that many days left on the face of the earth in order to get through all these cards. But if I do, then so be it. If not, hopefully my stepson will take over for me. But here we go. Our card of the night, we're staying on baseball, and we're staying in the most iconic modern baseball card set ever. And it's the 87 Topps, right? It's probably one of the most popular Topps sets out there. Everybody has them. Matter of fact, it's so popular that the cards that are from that set, and there's some heavy hitters, man. You got a Bonds rookie, you got a McGuire rookie, you got a Canseco rookie, you got a Bo Jackson rookie, just to name a few. Those are all part of the 87 Topps set. But now, due to some of the circumstances surrounding Mark McGuire, Barry Bonds, players like that, that lends into it. But these cards are not that valuable, and it's funny because if you talk to all, but it's the value of these cards is by the collector. If a collector really desires a card, they're going to pay for it. But on the open market, trends, other databases that are around, you can go and kind of find it. For example, we'll talk the 87 Mark McGuire. Now there's controversy around Mark McGuire his entire career, but it starts with this 87 baseball card. Everybody says there's like 90% of the people out there that call the 87 Topps his rookie year or his rookie card. Now there's an 85 card that's pictured not with him with the A's, but with him with Team USA from the 84 Olympics. There is no 85 or 86 Topps McGuire. There's an 86 Donruss and an 86 Fleer, but not an 86 Topps. There's an 87 Topps, which is his rookie card. Now, we're not doing McGuire tonight. I'm just giving it an example. But McGuire, of course, with the other steroid thing and all that, and not going to the Hall of Fame, his card, the 87 Topps, it's like $8. Barry Bonds, his rookie card with the Pirates, It's like $10. He's the all-time home run leader. So that set is one of the more widely produced, widely collected sets out there. And tonight's card is from that set. And let's get into tonight's card. And it's from a player from my youth who always, and again, things got to be in some sort of perspective here, because when you're growing up, the time that I was growing up, right? What was the, we didn't have access to all the games. We weren't sitting around watching all the games every day. It was, you watched the Phillies, you watched who the Phillies were playing. And then on Saturday, whoever NBC had, sometimes they had triple headers, sometimes they had double headers, sometimes they had just a game. And then ABC on Monday nights had a game. And that was it. And then later on, when ESPN came around, they threw a game on Saturday. But growing up, largely, it was who the Phillies were playing and then what NBC and ABC were doing week to week. And that was it. And so certain players you didn't see, you heard about, you read about, whatever. And this is one of those players for me growing up. And our card of the night is the 87 Topps George Bell from the Toronto Blue Jays. A really, really good player, stuck in a bad situation up north of the border with the Blue Jays throughout the 80s. And George was a power hitting outfielder for the Blue Jays. Did find his way to the United States a little bit later on with the Cubs and White Sox. Kind of got lost in the shuffle, though. Spent the majority of his good years with Toronto. What was his career numbers? I had them right here. He's a career 278 batting average, 265 home runs, and over 1,000 runs in about 11 seasons in the league. 3-time All-Star. He was the AL MVP in 1987. So this card year, is he ended up winning the world's. He won the MVP. 3-time Silver Slugger Award winner. He was the AL RBI leader in '87 as well, and he's been given the honor of the the Toronto Blue Jays level of excellence. So not a Hall of Famer, and maybe not a Hall of Famer career, but George Bell definitely was one of those players growing up that was noteworthy. And we read about him and we heard about him. And when we saw Toronto play, it was, George Bell. So there you have my card of the night is the 87 George Bell. And financially, this card ain't worth a damn. I couldn't find it for anything more than $2. But again, this is a system of somebody out there who's really coveting an 87 George Bell. Well, they'll pay what they want to pay for it. But I personally couldn't find anything better than $2 with this card. So there you have it. And here is the actual card in its physical form. I got about 9.5 here. I think I got a $2 card. Is the 87 George Bell. So there you go. There's MattyB's card review segment of the night, the 87 George Bell. And we're continuing this through. Tomorrow night will be our final one of the week. And we'll wrap that up. So, folks, that's going to do it. We went over the day in Philadelphia sports history. On this day, 1960, the Eagles finished the trifecta of their third NFL championship, beating the Green Bay Packers 17-13. We didn't talk hot still because there's nothing really to talk about. We've pretty much caught ourselves up. We went over the NFL playoff picture. We talked to WJC that Team USA is off and running. 10-4 winners today over Germany as the tournament in Ottawa has kicked off. We spoke a little bit on the immaturity and buffoonery and clown behavior of Nick Sirianni, and why does Nick Sirianni need his bodyguard to go out to post-game handshakes with him? Why can't Nick Sirianni not get into fights with Zach Ertz on the way out for a handshake? At what point is the behavior and the discipline issues with his players going to cost this team the most dear? Jalen Carter. Does he not feel repercussions of getting 15-yard personal foul penalties? Because it seems like he doesn't, because he does them every week. Does CJ, DJ, BJ, KJ, GJ understand that he does not help this team out at all from the locker room? And why were Philadelphia Eagle fans, a fan base that this guy bashed on his way out of town last year, so reticent and welcoming to bring him back in? CJ, GJ, BJ, KJ, DJ is nothing but a hired gun. He's a mercenary. He doesn't care about Philadelphia. He doesn't care about the Eagles. Doesn't care about you as fans. But this fan base, well, you know who you are. You know what you are. You want to wrap your arms around every player and think that they love you and that you love them. And I get that. That's just the way we roll. But he's not one of them. He don't give a damn about you. And I don't think he cares about the Eagles. But that behavior is part of the culture that your clown head coach promotes. And at what point is it going to become a liability and hurt this team lethally? later down the line in the playoffs. The behavior of Jalen Carter, who doesn't fear repercussions of personal foul penalties. And, of course, getting ejected from games. So your clownish head coach and his behavior continue and all that. We talked about our of the night segment, talking about Elliot Denoyer as our Flyer prospect of the night. And we did our card review segment. So a bunch of stuff we reviewed. Don't forget a bunch of stuff on the network tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. Mark your calendars, folks, because I will be back with the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn, but not Kyle Quinn, a special surprise guest host. I don't know if I can say who it is. Can I say who it is? Special surprise guest host? If he's out there still. But yeah, tomorrow at 9:30, be tuning in for the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn with a special surprise guest host. And then tomorrow or Saturday afternoon starts the Clear the Ice with me, MattyB, taking you all the way through Saturday and Sunday with the Anaheim Ducks and the Los Angeles Kings as the Flyers get ready to set off on their Southern California New Year's road trip. Big Al saying, I know he's prettier than Kyle. Yeah, come on, Al. Let's give the people what they want. Big Al will be my special surprise guest host tomorrow for the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn. You better bring you better open up the store early tomorrow, Al, because I know you're going to be going to the aisles. So make sure they're fully packed. And if you guys don't understand what I mean by that, when I say Al better open up the store early, I am referring to Big Al's Excuse Emporium, selling or serving your Philadelphia suppression of reality sports needs since the summer of 2024. If you need to escape the reality of the Philadelphia sports scene, look no further than Big Al's Excuse Emporium. They are waiting for you right now to service you. So please head on down to many locations around Delaware Valley. Just go down and tell them that MattyB sent you, and they will know exactly what to do. So tomorrow, Al will be in for Kyle Quinn. So looking forward to that. Sunday, we got your Birds Flyby. Sal G with that, as he'll break down the Eagle Cowboy post game for you. And as we get closer, man, do we talk NFC East Championship? Are we talking that on Sunday? Are we talking the number 2 seed locked down on Sunday? Or are we talking no NFC Championship yet? Are we talking we're going to have to go into week 18 and beat the Giants? What are we talking about on Sunday? Can't wait to find that out. And if you tune in tomorrow to the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn, the quintessential Eagle pregame show, by the way, maybe we'll give you an idea of what we think you'll be talking about on Sunday. So all that stuff. And then, of course, our ongoing coverage of the WJC IIHF World Champion Junior Championships up in Ottawa continues. Team USA got off to a 10-4 victory today over the Germans. We will be on site in Ottawa here very shortly. I am working the logistics of it right now. I just got to get over the border. Listen, it's no small feat for MattyB to cross over to another country. There's a lot that goes into that. And it's even a bigger feat to get me back in the United States. So I'm a little hesitant to leave the country. Just a little hesitant, because I don't know. I just have this... I don't know. I just have me trying to cross visions of me crossing over, trying to get back in the U.S. on some middle of the night border crossing station in northern New York and running into some. I don't know. I just have some really bad juju about that right now. So I'm making sure all my ducks are in a row before I cross over into Canada. Right. I'm just making sure, you got to give me credit on that. But we will be covering that for you, I promise. And so we're looking forward to that. So until we talk again tomorrow, it's no small feat. Yeah, exactly. What are the extradition laws in Canada? I don't want to find out. All right, I don't want to find out. So I'm making sure that I have all my ducks in a row before I step foot off of U.S. soil. All right, I don't want to be. I don't want to be in some, I don't want to be sent to British Columbia in some sort of prison camp and never be seen again. I don't want to be doing that. So here we go. But We'll be doing that, I promise. But all right, that's going to do it for me. You guys have a great rest of your night and even better tomorrow. We'll talk again. Don't forget, 9:30 tomorrow morning, the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn with Big Al's of Fury, sitting in for Kyle as Kyle's off making money somewhere else. I don't know where he's in Chicago doing something. I don't know, but Al will be in for Kyle tomorrow. First time, by the way. Al, you should feel really privileged here, because in the 5 years that I've been doing a pregame with Kyle, this is the first time I've ever replaced him with a guest. You know, usually when he can't do it, I just go solo. But this is the first time I'm replacing him with a guest, and it's you. So you better be, you better feel privileged. I got my ring right here if you want to kiss it. But anyway, we'll talk tomorrow, folks. Until then, again, have a great rest of your night and even better tomorrow.
I've been coming up hot for a minute. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. Drop the top when I'm in it. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. Yeah, I flow so yo. Everybody know. You know when the click through. Try to send this part to be a slow beat.